You know the one. It's time to be independent. You need to learn the value of money. Blah, blah, blah. Then my mom hit me with, we've decided we won't be paying for your college. You'll need to figure it out on your own. Just like that, my stomach dropped. It wasn't like I expected them to pay for everything, but not a single dime. No help with tuition, books, or even gas for commuting. That felt like a slap in the face. But wait, it gets better. My dad, who's usually the quiet one, said, if you want to live here, you'll need to start paying rent and your own groceries. It's only fair. I just sat there thinking, what the hell? I mean, I was still in my childhood bedroom, sleeping under posters from middle school, and now they wanted rent from me on top of everything else. To give you some background, my parents aren't strapped for cash. My mom's an accountant, and my dad's a project manager. They're doing fine. They weren't making me pay rent because they needed the money. They were doing it to teach me responsibility. Meanwhile, my younger sister, Kylie, a 16-year-old female at the time, was out there living like a princess. Kylie has always been the golden child, straight A student, captain of the cheer squad, everyone's favorite. My parents practically worship her. I like to say I stood up to my parents right then and there, but honestly, I didn't. I didn't want to cause drama or seem ungrateful. I figured, fine, I'll pay rent and hustle my way through college. I've always been independent anyway. But deep down, I was angry. Rent wasn't the only thing I had to worry about. Tuition, books, gas, groceries, it all added up. I started picking up extra shifts at the cafe, sometimes working late into the night. On top of that, I took on small baking gigs, making cupcakes and cookies for events. It felt like I was constantly working, but no matter how much I made, it was never enough. But I kept going so I'd be ready when school started. Moving out crossed my mind more times than I can count. I even started looking at apartments near campus, but rent in my area is insane. Like, how do people afford this? Every place I looked at was way out of my budget, even if I got roommates. I realized pretty quickly that moving out wasn't an option. Not yet, anyway. So I made a deal with myself. I'd stick it out at home until I graduated. I'd keep my head down, save as much as I could, and the second I had enough money, I'd cut them off completely. That became my motivation. Every late night shift, every dollar saved, every skipped outing with friends, it was all part of my plan to get out and never look back. But sticking around wasn't easy. Mom and Dad didn't make it any better. They started asking for rent before I even started my classes. They'd constantly remind me about my rent due date. Even if I was just a day or two away from paying, it wasn't like I was late or anything. They just liked to hang it over my head. Meanwhile, they were showering Kylie with gifts like it was Christmas every week. One time, they took her shopping for a new cheer uniform and ended up buying her an entire wardrobe. She came home with bags of clothes, shoes, and accessories, grinning from ear to ear. I asked Mom if they could at least help me with my textbook for the semester, as it was starting very soon. She just looked at me and said, Ellie, you need to learn a budget better. Kylie doesn't have these kinds of expenses. That stung. It wasn't just about the money. It was about how little they seemed to care about what I was going through. Kylie didn't make things any easier. She's not a bad person, but she's definitely spoiled. She'd brag about her new stuff or complain about how hard cheer practice was while I was running on 3 hours of sleep, trying to juggle work and save up for school. One night, I came home after a double shift, completely exhausted, and found her lounging on the couch with her new AirPods. Oh, Mom and Dad got these for me, she said casually like it was no big deal. You should get some too. They're amazing. I just looked at her and said, yeah, maybe when I don't have to pay rent. She rolled her eyes and went back to scrolling through TikTok. There were moments when I wanted to scream, to tell my parents how unfair it all was, but I knew it wouldn't make a difference. They had their golden child, and I was just the one paying rent. So I kept my mouth shut and focused on my plan to get out. College was supposed to be this exciting new chapter in my life. But honestly, it just felt like survival mode from the start. I thought I'd have time to find my footing, figure out a rhythm, and maybe even enjoy myself a little. But nope. Between school, work, and my parents constantly breathing down my neck about rent, I was running on empty pretty much 24/7. I was up at 6 a.m. every day, out the door by 7 o'clock, and at my community college for morning classes. I tried to get some studying in between lectures. But by the time noon rolled around, I'd be rushing to my shift at the cafe. Most days, I'd work until 9 or 10 p.m., go home, and collapse in a bed. And on weekends, forget relaxing. That's when I'd be baking for small catering orders because, surprise, working part-time wasn't cutting it. I like to say I was handling it all like a pro, but that would be a lie. The cafe was chaos most of the time. We were always short-staffed, and the pandemic had made people extra impatient. So, every shift felt like a marathon. I'd be behind the counter making lattes, then running to the drive-thru, then dealing with Karen number 87, who thought her coffee wasn't hot enough, all while knowing I still had a pile of assignments waiting for me at home. To make it worse, my parents were absolutely no help. They saw me dragging myself home late at night, but instead of offering support, they'd hit me with, "Don't forget your rent's due Friday." Or,